Hello, Pete here with a rhythm guitar tutorial, Chords for the gig-based learning minimum viable performance, which is a simplified cover version of Satisfaction in brackets, I Can't Get No by the Rolling Stones. This tutorial is designed for people who've just picked up the electric guitar and want to get on with it and play music right away. By the end of this tutorial, which is actually much more than a tutorial, it's a music lesson, it's a song breakdown, and it's a guided practice session. So if you do all of that, you'll be ready to play along with the gig-based learning band in our simplified cover version. But we'd love it if your mates were also learning the other parts from our tutorials and you could play this song as a band. Alright, let's get on with it. There are just 3 chords in Satisfaction: E, A, and B, classic rock and roll. However, there's some caveats. We have E major chord, A major chord, A sus4, and B7. So let's break it down by looking at my right hand first, and then we'll move on to the left. First of all, we need a pick. Now, let's go with some quick technique. We've got a little hook with our index finger, and then we place our thumb on top. These other fingers just sit underneath, nice and relaxed. Not all straight or all messed up, just relax them. Slot your pick in and leave a couple mils so you're ready to go with your picking hand. Moving to the left now, let's break down the first chord today, which is the E major chord. This has E, G sharp, and B as the key notes of the chord that we need to pluck and emphasize. The first note, the root of the chord, is E, and this is our string right here, closest to the ceiling. Cool. Next note is the 5th of the chord, which is the B, and that's on the 2nd fret on the A string. We're going to be playing that with our 2nd finger. Next note is the octave above E, but played on the A string 2nd fret, and that's with the 3rd finger right there. So let's go with that. E, B, E. Now that's a power chord. Now to make it a full E major chord, we need to add the 3rd, which is the G sharp. And that's found on the G string, but 1st fret, 1 semitone up. All together. And we're playing through the strings and letting the B and the E strings play in the open position. That's our E major chord. Moving to the A major chord, 3 notes of the A major chord: A, C sharp, E. Now, always good to start with the root note, which is the A chord, A note, I should say, and that's going to be played open A string, the 2nd string down. We're not going to play the E string because that's going to muddy the sound if we're playing these together. Okay, we want to mute that E string with our thumb, if possible, like that. Doesn't sound great when you're playing it by yourself, but in context you won't even actually hear the E string, which is kind of neat. A string. Cool. Next is the 5th, which is the E, played on the 2nd fret on the D string with our 2nd finger. Next we have the A octave above, played with the 2nd fret on the G string, and that's with our 3rd finger. So let's play that power chord. Again, we need to add the 3rd. Okay? The 3rd is the C sharp. Right, cool. So C sharp is the 2nd fret on the B string. 2 semitones up from the B is a C sharp. And this time, instead of playing the 3rd with our index finger, we're actually going to play it with our pinky. And that's going to nest straight underneath the 3rd finger. So all 3 fingers that we're fretting in the A major chord is on fret 2. And try to let that open E string ring above that too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving on to the A sus4 chord. Sus4 means to raise the 3rd to the 4th scale degree. In the A major scale we have A, B, C sharp, D as our 4th scale degree. D is 1 semitone up from C sharp, which we move our pinky from the C sharp to the D. And when we do that, it's going to create a suspended feeling. Hence the sus chord. Cool. Moving on now, we're going to play the hardest chord that you'll play today, which is a B7 chord. I say hardest because we're actually using all 4 of our fingers to play the chord. This is a classic sound in rock and roll, and it's important to understand the shape because you can apply it across the fretboard, in fact. And the first note of a B7 chord is, of course, a B. We find that on the A string 2nd fret, playing with our 2nd finger. Next, we're going to play the 3rd of the chord, which is D sharp, and that's found on the 1st fret on the D string, 1 semitone up from D. Okay. Next, we're actually going to play the 7th. Skip over the 5th and go to the 7th of the chord, which is A, and that's found 2nd fret on the G string, played with our 3rd finger. And that would form a perfectly fine B7 chord. But it's not quite the full picture because we want our F sharp, which is the 5th of the chord, played, and we're going to be playing that with our pinky, which is the 4th finger on the E string, which is closest to the floor. Okay, and when we play those together, we're going to have the full 7th chord, B7. We just need 2 chords for the intro of satisfaction, our E chord and our A sus4 chord. Let's have a look at the chart below, and we can see that each chord lasts for 1 bar. Each bar has 4 beats in it, and we call these eggs. Okay, so let's play some eggs, which literally means semi-breves and shaped in a circle if you're looking at notation, hence the word eggs. Okay, so first chord E, and we count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got to give ourselves room to move to get to the A sus4 chord, which is using fingers 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And so, because it's 4 beats on each, I actually have to be quite nimble and think ahead. Where are my fingers about to go? E, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4. Okay, quite tricky. Now, we just do the same thing back and forth for a lot of this song. So if we can practice this, we're going to get pretty much great at the whole song. Really key component. When we're playing, we're feeling the pulse in our body. We're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're feeling that, okay? And that's just chugging along. And what that does is help us with the strumming pattern, because the strumming pattern is like a machine. It happens in relation to that pulse. And if we don't get that right, we're going to be out of time. It's going to be a bit of a mess. So if we're feeling 1, 2, 3, 4, we can think downstrokes or upstrokes, okay? There's a few variations you could do. I'm going to teach you 2 that you could try. The first one is a simplified strumming pattern, and it's going to utilize 2 downstrokes. 1, 2, rest, rest. Or if we're counting, downstroke, downstroke, 3, 4. 3, 4 is going to be the rest. Let's try that in time. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, rest, rest. Change chord. Okay, so during the rest, that's a great time to think about your left hand and where that's going to go, which is our A7 chord. Okay, so let's try moving from the E to the A7. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, rest, rest, down, down, rest, rest, down, down, rest, rest, down, down, rest, rest. Cool. A more advanced strumming pattern would be to include some upstrokes. Okay, this pattern is going to use down, down, rest, up, down, up. Okay, down, down, rest, up, down, up. I'm going to play it for you in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, up. Down, down, up, down, up. Now, a little trick. This is a little hack that you can't actually hear when the band's playing. You're not, on that very last upstroke, you're actually not going to fret anything. You're just going to let all the strings resonate by themselves. Sounds disgusting, right? Well, in context, it's this little trick on the brain. It doesn't actually affect the sound too much, unless you know about it. And what it does is free up your left hand to move to the next chord so you can hit it on the downbeat. So taking it really, really slow, let's go over that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, up. The last one, nothing. Nothing on the left hand. Now I'm going to do it, but move to the next chord, so you can get the idea that it allows you some space to move. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, up. Up, down, up. Up, down, up. Still just our old friends E and A for the chorus, but this time 2 bars of E, 2 bars of A, hit the repeat sign, come back to the repeat sign pointing the other way and do it all again. But key difference is that we don't do any strumming pattern other than hitting a downstroke on beat 1 of bar 1 of this section and bar 3 of this section. So when it changes chords, and we call this dropping a bomb, right? And when we drop a bomb, you can just go like this, but you can have some fun with it if you like. You can point to someone in the crowd, oi. Or you can give them a little steak face. Yeah, okay. It's up to you. Do whatever you want. Be expressive. Have some fun with dropping bombs. Here we go. After 4, we're going to play 2 bars of E, 2 bars of A, repeat, and do it all again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. Change to the A sus4. 2, 2. Change back to the E. 1, 4, 1, 2. Change now. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the chorus. The pre-chorus features the only cameo appearance by our B7 chord. Looking at the chart, we can see 1 bar of E, 1 bar of B, 1 bar of E, 1 bar of A. Pretty much exactly the same as the intro, but with the B depping in for the A. Alright, we're going to play this quite slowly all together after 4 beats, and we're just doing 1 strum per chord. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. And then B. Okay, so that change is something to really take your time with and just practice going in between. So we go to E, and then our third finger drops down a string, and our first finger goes up, okay? So they kind of work in opposite directions, which takes some coordination. So just going over that again. E, strings change on those fingers, and we add the pinky. And then we go back to the E, and back to the A. Now this time it's the A major chord, not the A sus. Don't want the sus, just the C sharp in there. Okay? Alright, when we're playing the B, the other thing to think about is muting the E string. We don't want that rumbling in the background. So there's a few ways to do it, but the easiest way is just to lightly touch the E string with your second finger there. And that's going to mute the E string quite nicely, which allows you to strum through the strings. And we don't get any of that rumble, which we would normally get. Yeah, sounds muddy if we do that, okay? Alright, so let's have a go all together with changing the chords and doing our muting technique. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. B, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3, 4. That's the pre-chorus. So some more E's and A's in our verse. Essentially we're playing 1 bar of E and 1 bar of A every time we hear the main guitar riff. So let's take a look at our chart for some extra repeat sign conventions. We've got 1 bar of E, 1 bar of A, repeat sign back to the repeat, and 1 bar of E, 1 bar of A, carry on past the repeat. Now, stop the clock. Above there, right at the end, it says 6x. That means play this repeat section 6 times. So 2 bars times 6 equals 12, and we've already played 4 bars, so 4 plus 12 equals 16, which is a classic rock and roll form, 16 bar form. So to practice this, we've already played E's and A's. Let's bring in another convention for good guitar practice, playing along with a metronome. In rock and roll, we call it the click or the click track, and this will click every beat, and we call the speed of the beat the tempo, and we express that as beats per minute. So I'm going to set my click track for 120 beats per minute, and you can do that too, or just play along with me now, and we'll give 2 bars for us to count in and get ready to start on our E chord. It's all standard GBL practice to give us 2 bars just as a nice little count in before we get started. All right, let's play it. 2 bar count in. 2, 2, 3, 4. E, A. Remember A sus. First time. Second. Fifth. Last time. And that's it. So the breakdown features no guitar for 2 bars. We've got 2 bars of rest, but then we're back in as the lead guitar comes back in with a riff. And we've got our E's and A sus's, but there's a repeat. Okay, so just 4 bars for us, as the breakdown starts with 2 bars of rest for the drummer and the tambourine player and the maraca player to feature. All right, now we're going to introduce a very important thing that guitar players do to increase our speed. We're going to move the tempo up just 6 beats per minute, and we're aiming for 136 beats per minute for when we're playing with the GBL band or with our mates. But for now, we're just going to go to 126 on our metronome, right? And we're going to have a 2 bar count in. Let's not play the rest at the start. We can practice that in our own time. We'll just start in straight at where we play E and then the A sus chord at 126 beats per minute. And we're going to also add our strumming pattern. Again, we can do down, down, rest, rest, and that's perfectly fine. Or for an extra challenge, down, down, up, down, up. Okay, here we go. 2, 2, 3, 4. The outro does just what it says, it gets us out of the song to the end. And looking at the chart, we have E, A, repeat 4x, which means repeat 4 times. And we repeat that section until we get to the last time. And then on beat 1, we have E, and beat 2, E again. And those triangles underneath are accents, which for guitar players mean we put some more energy into the strum. As you strike it, you want to accentuate or accent the notes. And this provides a nice, strong, definite ending. Throughout this section, we're listening for the vocalists or singers who will be singing no satisfaction 4 times altogether, but the last faction comes on beat 1 and beat 2 in that last bar on the chart. So we want to be making sure we're listening out for that and get ready for the faction, and we're muting with our strings again, okay? So with our mute, we want to be playing the E major chord and coming back down with our palm. Very important that we use the squishy part of our hand to mute the strings. And that kills the note off, and you can hear all that's left to ring out is the nice spring reverb that we've got on our guitar. Okay, no satisfaction, like that. Okay, so we're going to give it a go, but this time we're going to bump it up to 130 beats per minute, edging closer to our end goal of 136. We're going to have 2 bars of count in and then play 4 times through with faction at the end. Here we go. 2, 2, 3, 4. Last time. No satis. Before we get to the playthrough, a quick form recap. We've just been through all of the sections in the song, but principally we're just playing our E and A chords, except for the pre-chorus where we add the B to the E's and A's. So looking at the handy gig-based learning form guide at the bottom, you can see that we've got the intro at the beginning and the outro at the end. Essentially, we're cycling around those sections 3 times, and that's the song. Now to the playthrough. This will be 136 beats per minute. Just me and the electric guitar plus the click track for you to play along with to prepare you to play this tune with either the gig-based learning backing track for electric guitar, or hopefully your friends have been doing the tutorials for the other instruments and you're all ready to put this together as a band. Remember, this is our gig-based learning scrolling chart, and you get 2 bars of count in, and then don't play green writing. Just lead guitar plays the riff twice. So we actually wait for 4 bars. And then in orange, it says ready for the whole band. And then we're ready with our E and A sus chords. All right, see you at the end.